Okay, House of the Dragon. I have a very positive thing to say that you'll like, Matt.
Give a preamble.
All right. First of all, the first episode that y'all were dumping on was the biggest ever release on HBO Max ever to date. So people loved it. People watched it. Now, that was a lot of normies and a lot of water cooler douchebags.
Nothing that's popular could possibly suck.
The only thing, see, Rob's in sniper mode. He's not actually making like fair arguments. He's looking to snipe at you while you're talking. You're not actually listening. You're looking to snipe. You're looking for your opportunity to make like a quip.
I'm in the bushes.
I want you to like mentally back out of that quipster mode, that snipe mode.
I live my life in snipe mode, man. It can't be helped.
You're Wesley Snipes.
I'm always trying to ice skate uphill.
Right.
You heard it got renewed for a second season, right?
Fuck yes. You know why? Because the first episode kicked ass. So speaking of the first episode kicking ass, I will say this. I have been noticing on YouTube, I'm not going to say any names or point out any channels, but I knew this was going to happen. The great backpedaling, where a lot of people who were just like, I haven't heard anything about the show. I don't know anything about it. Why the fuck should I give a care about this? Or a lot of people saying, oh, it's going to suck. It's going to suck. And now they're putting out videos saying, yeah, all right. They're like, the best they can do is like grudging admittance that, you know, it was good and millions of people watched it and it's successful and there's a season 2. All right. The one thing that I'll say, one word, and then I'll let y'all have at it. The one word about episode 2 is subtext.
Really? It's not Driftwood Throne?
Honestly, I have no idea why that's funny. I seriously have no idea why that's funny. That cannot possibly be funny. There's nothing funny about that.
You have to be there. At the very end of the episode, he's just talking all seriously, and he just drops the Driftwood Throne, and it just sounded so lame to me. And he has a Driftwood Throne. That's so budget.
And then Rob started going off on a whole thing of like, does every single kingdom in this world have like, they all try to figure out who has the most uncomfortable throne to sit on.
Yeah. And I posited another country where a guy has a throne made of live bees.
Oh, goddamn. Y'all are such fucking heathens. All right, so I will take it from that because of the riffing on the Driftwood Throne line, you missed like the entire last like 60 seconds of the
No, we paused it so we could get that out of his system for 3 or 4 minutes.
That was just hilarious that he has a Driftwood Throne. How low do you have to sink as royalty if you have a throne made of driftwood?
Well, it won't sink because it's driftwood.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Yes, actually.
I'm guessing that's not the extent of your criticism.
I have something very positive to say about the show. I have a friend who loves all this kind of stuff, but he somehow, like he said, no, I've never actually seen Game of Thrones. And it occurred to me,
he doesn't really love this stuff.
if you've never watched Game of Thrones, this is the perfect show to like jump on board and start watching.
No, it's not, because it's boring.
Because it's a smaller scale story. Everything about it will blow someone's mind if they've never watched Game of Thrones.
Well, I was going to say that by the fact that he has never watched it before, that means he's really not into all this stuff. But then I started thinking, like, if Rob had not have caught Game of Thrones when it initially came out and like a few, like maybe like a month went by or 2, maybe he was real busy or something, then it would have attained that mental status in his head of The Wire.
Oh, that's true.
Everyone's talking about it. Everybody's saying I should watch it and acting with shock and almost scorn when I say I haven't watched it. And then he just get all like, I'm not going to fucking watch it now. God damn you.
That's true.
I'll show you people.
That could have been me.
So we've covered the admittedly kind of hilarious situation of the Driftwood Throne. What else you got?
It's good so far. I was underwhelmed by the opening.
Oh, God, the new opening they have was terrible. Come on, they're playing the same music, but they're doing way worse graphics. It looked like a cheap 80s metal video or something with just all the blood flowing everywhere. It looked like when they were draining Wesley Snipes.
In Blade 1, in the first Blade.
Yeah.
The first one was just so iconic, and it really got you in and got you hyped up every episode when it would start.
It was just a cheap fan edit or something. I don't know. It was just bad.
The Game of Thrones opening was awesome and original, it was a map, and it would zoom around from city to city.
Yeah.
This one was not zooming around from city to city, was it? It was not. What was it doing?
It was just showing like a lame, fake-looking river of blood.
I think it's the model of Valeria.
It was all of the Targaryen kings, one after the other, and people haven't realized that yet.
Are they going to pull out more and like show us what we're actually looking at? Because it's kind of hard to even tell what you're.
You got to get the context. When normies were watching the Game of Thrones opening, would they know what the fuck Old Town was and what the significance was? And when the camera pulled back and showed the High Tower?
I was a normie that knew nothing of the show when it started, and it instantly like got you into the world and let you know what was going on.
That's because you're captivated by, like pretty things happening on screen. But I'm saying the subtext of what it actually means. I think the world hasn't realized it yet. So
I guess I'm not smart enough to understand the deep subtext.
I could school you up in about like a week. I'll give you some reading material.
Deep subtleties or not, it looked like crap.
If it's not Valeria, what city or whatever are we looking at?
It's not cities and it's not points on a map. It's kings. It's Valerian kings.
Well, it's their tomb. Then what is it? Because everything looked like buildings. So
The first one was Aegon, and then his blood flows to Maegor, to Jaehaerys, and then his blood flows. You'll have to watch it again.
Well, then why did it look like the streets filling up with blood and stuff, and you could see buildings in the background?
Because they had to make shit happen. They had to give some background. They had to show these kings raising up their kingdoms over time.
Whatever. They kind of failed to do that, and it should be simple visuals that you can understand.
You want a nice, simple beginning with no subtext.
No, I'm fine with subtext as long as it's presented well.
As long as you get it.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're not put on this world to get it, Rob.
Deep cut. Boo, boo, boo.
You are not brought upon this world to get it.
Brought upon this world to get it, Mr. Burton.
Boo, boo, boo. Y'all can't see it right now, but you just got the boo, 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 boo.
Nice.
Ow. All right, what's next?
It's setting up pretty good.
What about your Mary Sue? This episode did not present things that would make you think that you were wrong. That has not happened yet.
It has not. In fact, it has further reinforced my position.
Yeah. Your previous assertions that she is a Mary Sue are almost bolstered by this second episode.
Because once again, she did everything perfectly. First time. Right out of the gate, because she's just awesome.
I have one hope for the series. It's like a stupid Easter egg thing, but one thing I do hope they somehow work in is I hope we see the Red Witch at some point, since she's so old and would be around at this time.
Melisandre, you hope she's around?
And then we could all go, woo, I've seen that before.
I would like to see her at some point, just because we know that she's like 1,000 years old.
Then I will note that I've seen her before and scream and shit my pants.
When the actress Carice Van Houten, when she shows up on screen, she gets him out. So as much as I think that'd be silly and they don't need that kind of shit in this show, I wouldn't object that much because I know that she'd get him out.
They need more getting him out, because it seems like they did that to like appease us in the first episode so nobody would complain, and now they've just gone back to like,
It's season 5, yeah.
Let's talk about subtext a little bit. Daemon Targaryen, not in this episode all that much.
Of course not. He's dynamic and interesting.
Do you think he wants to be the king?
No.
He does not. Correct.
He doesn't want to be king of King's Landing. He wants respect and he wants power, but he doesn't want to be king of King's Landing.
I don't even think he wants power. He's like, did you see Hot Wet American Summer?
I did not.
With Paul Rudd, Janine Garofalo.
Heard it was good. I never saw it.
Paul Rudd, the character he plays, he's kind of like the cool guy, the cool, sexy teenage guy. And he just acts like such like a bitchy emo.
You gonna clean that up?
I gotta...
Daemon is kind of a bitchy emo teenager in that he doesn't want to rule. Fuck no, he doesn't want to rule. He doesn't even really want to be the heir so much as people tell him that these are the things that you need to have as your position. And society seems to think that he's due these things. And he starts like worrying about, wait, I'm not getting what I'm due. So he starts like jostling like a fucking angry goddamn teenager. His whole thing with sending the letter to the king and lying about having impregnated the whore and all that shit, he was just fucking acting out. He was trying to get his brother to show up. So like he was so crestfallen when he saw that Otto Hightower showed up instead of, friggin' his brother Viserys. That his whole plan was to have Viserys come and like actually pay attention to him.
Yeah, he was throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, he was like a bitchy, and he was willing to get into a giant fight and a war until Rhaenyra showed up, and then Rhaenyra basically just defused all his fucking bullshit.
He was willing to get into a war when he had superior firepower. Then she shows up with her own dragon, and suddenly
I don't think it was the dragon that backed him down. I think it was Rhaenyra.
He didn't want to kill his own niece. I mean, that makes sense.
Basically, she's kind of like his weak spot.
I liked her lady boss moment where she's like, strike me down. It's like, yeah, but then the dragon seconds later is gonna like destroy you. So
when she showed up on the bridge with the dragon, I don't think for a minute she thought that she was bringing the dragon to protect herself against Daemon. She brought the dragon so that Otto and the troops from King's Landing would get the fuck out of her way and let her do what she needed to do.
It was a show of force as well.
I thought it was a show of force against Otto Hightower and the men he brought rather than a show of force against Daemon, because she knew that she could back Daemon down. King Viserys getting his finger maggoted. He's in the room.
I liked that.
Otto Hightower was in the room, his hand, as well as a whole bunch of maesters. And did you see what was going on between the maesters and Otto and the looks they were giving each other and the things they were saying to the king?
I was busy looking at the maggots on his hand.
You didn't see them working together? You didn't see them basically in this big giant conspiracy?
it was very hard to miss, Matt. You're making it sound like this is like, we actually sit and stare at the TV when the TV's on. We don't do other things.
Some of y'all did pick up on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And y'all know what it
I mean,
meant.
that was kind of obvious.
And y'all know that
they're kind of puppeting him around.
And y'all know that the maesters are from Old Town.
Yes.
Where Otto is basically the ruler. I mean, his brother ostensibly is the ruler, but he's... Okay. I didn't know if that...
Related to that, my whole general problem is that his pinky's infected. Cut your fucking pinky off. It's your pinky. Who gives a shit? This would solve that whole problem. Instead, he's going to get fucking grayscale because of a pinky infection or something stupid like that.
See, I don't think it's grayscale. I think it's diabetes. I think he's just got shit falling off him.
That could be, yeah. That is actually a diabetic symptom.
Yeah, non-healing wounds, especially the extremities. That's a thing. So there's some fan theories out there that the doom of Valyria was brought on by the Maesters, that the death of all the dragons. Right now, there's like 10 full-grown dragons farting around, right? There's not that many when Game of Thrones starts. In fact, there's exactly 0. So how did that come about? There's theories that it was all about the Maesters because the Maesters believe in science, rational thought, and anything having to do with magic, they spurn and destroy. And so there's been a lot of stuff talking about how just like from the start, it's been the Maesters all along. How about that?
That's interesting. I assumed that the dragons were dying off because this wasn't their habitat and they weren't getting some sort of nutrient they need in their diet. But that's actually more plausible. Well, no, that's actually equally plausible.
Well, yours sounds boring and nerdy.
I'm boring and nerdy.
So next scene, the choosing of the King's Guard. Rob, how'd you like the armor?
It made everybody look fat.
Like real armor will.
Yes, it did. The Romans knew how to make their armor and make you not look fat. Full plate armor makes you look like you got a gut. And if there's no getting around it, I know it's very protective and does its job very effectively. But man, the Romans could, sculpted some abs into their bronze.
You didn't see a lot of people doing the overly stylized Targaryen-esque armor, though. You saw some like actual decent, fugly as fuck full plate.
Yeah, it actually looked like useful armor that, you'd want to bring into combat with you.
Think of the tourney, the jousting tourney they had in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
It was on a fucking country road with like some bleachers put up. It looks stupid.
Right.
This one was Maidenpool, not even King's Landing. It was an outlying town, but it looked fucking awesome.
It looked great.
And when I saw it, I saw the subtext of, we don't see this in the future series, so this must get destroyed by dragons at some point.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're thinking that's good. The choosing of the King's Guard scene, and I don't even know if this is what I saw, and I actually watched it back, but they had the little placard, and they'd move like the big eagle figurine up, and then the dude would step forward. Like this Shad person on YouTube, the armor expert, he's like, "Oh, this is stupid. Why would they have that? They have their sigils on their shield and on their tunics, and you wouldn't need to have that."
And it's in a spot where none of the knights can see it.
They don't need to see it. Here's what it was. Here's what I think it was. The eagle represented the Aerie, one of the seven kingdoms. I didn't see enough of the other figurines, but I think they had a knight from each of these seven kingdoms there. And when they moved it forward on the thing, it was saying this knight is from this kingdom. And that shows that it wasn't based on merit or combat ability. It was based on political bullshit, which Reyna cut through like a motherfucker and said, I'll just take the hot one.
Reyna was supposed to be doing the choosing, and she's perfect, so she should be able to just identify them all on sight and exactly which house they're from.
I'll say that Rob has devolved into his quippy sniping.
I'm making content, bitch.
I like that the guy she chose, like, they all had the fancy little things, and he was just like a stick of wood as like a placeholder.
Yeah, he's kind of like a hedge knight. He's basically he's very hedgy.
She's like 15 and she chose the sexy one, so of course that makes sense.
Well, I actually thought she had a good point that he's actually seen real combat.
That was an excuse. She wanted the hot one.
But what made it easy for her to make that 15-year-old teeny bopper choice was, out of everybody there, he was not the politically advantageous choice. He was one who had seen combat and that she had seen with her own eyes defeat and beat down her legendary heroic uncle. So, yeah.
That was all entirely incidental. He was dreaming.
When Rhaenyra landed on the bridge and the bridge went crinkle, crinkle, I don't know, number one, how she got the fuck off that dragon, because that bridge was really skinny. But
yeah, right.
But the thought of Caraxes and Syrax facing each other in the entire Game of Thrones, as cool as the dragons were, there was never any dragon versus dragon. So now they gave us just a little bit of a taste of what happens when two dragons are facing off against each other. That was pretty fucking cool.
I want a kaiju fight.
That was pretty fucking cool, right?
Were they making like weird echolocation noises? It sounded kind of humpback whaley.
They were predatoring. They were predatoring.
Yeah, it sounded like they were using some sort of sonar. I don't know if that's a dragon thing or not. It's never been shown before, but it definitely sounded like they were using that other sense. And that was pretty cool.
It's an interesting theory. I like this. Okay, so the whole conflict that this show is about is called the Dance of Dragons. And literally Dance of Dragons, not euphemism for Targaryens being dragons. It's actually about the fucking dragons fighting.
Yeah, kaiju fight.
That's what they're heading for. In this episode, it gave us a taste of two dragons facing off.
And then they got to activate the Jaegers to defend Hong Kong, and it's so badass.
All right, what about Corlys Valerion, the black man? The proud black man.
Seated upon his driftwood throne.
Yes.
I like that he's conspiring with Daemon.
Because he has been thrice spurned. His wife, Rhaenys, was spurned at the Council of 100 and whatever the fuck it was, AC, where they picked Viserys to be the king, right? He's like, my wife is first in line, but she's a female. After that, his son got spurned at the same thing. They just didn't go into it. But his son was actually more of a front runner than his wife was. And then here comes Viserys being like, oh, yeah, I'm going to marry fucking Alicent. And here's my thought about that. Why the fuck, knowing you have to make that choice, would you not sit your daughter down and have a little chat with her before?
Exactly. You don't drop that bomb on her.
He dropped the bomb on Corlys. Why wouldn't you sit him down and say, Corlys, you know, everything you said makes sense and you're a valuable ally, but I'm going to do this or whatever. What the fuck?
The previous scene, he was just talking with Rhaenyra about how, you know, she was cool with him, you know, picking a new wife. Couldn't he have perhaps brought this up then? Oh, by the way, it's going to be your best friend.
Yeah.
My whole thought on that is he intended to make the other choice the entire time, and the last moment he just couldn't say it and just like went with his gut. I got last minute decision feeling off of that. Otherwise it's a ridiculously ill-planned move.
My thought is he was heading toward Alicent the whole time, but being a king and being surrounded by a bunch of people who will not tell you no, when controversy comes out, You just basically say, all right, fuck all this stuff. I'm just going to stay what I want. And people are going to do what the fuck I say. And I think he went that direction. I think he took the king thing and just was like, so basically he fucked up. And Corlys is now hating on him a little bit, and the whole family, his biggest allies, and all the people with all his boats. So there's that.
Yeah, so that guy that's terrorizing him down there, did I see that he had dragon scale on his
I believe the crab feeder does have dragon scale. I
I
believe.
think it's grayscale.
grayscale, whatever it's called?
What do we say?
Dragon
Scale.
Dragon scale is more like awesome D&D shit.
That's like +4, man.
I think he does have grayscale, yes. That's kind of cool. What bodes for the end of this episode, they're like bringing war to the crab feeders. That's kind of cool. What about creepy 12-year-old who looked like a fucking 8-year-old, Lena Valerian?
That's exactly what we said. The whole time we're just like, she's 8. And it's like, she's 12. We're like, no, she's 8.
No, she's not 12. Unless she has some sort of serious nutritional deficiency. She's not 12.
The overall woke intentions of the showrunners of this show can be, I think, put to rest by scenes like that specifically, as well as the C-section scene. In both of those scenes, Viserys could have come off like a complete, I'm a man, I'm going to, I want my son, or I'm going to marry this 12-year-old. He could have come off like the biggest bastard in the world, but they played him with nuance, and they didn't back away from the situation. This is how things were back in medieval times, or in this fictional world based on medieval times. That's how things were. So they didn't tippy-toe around it. They didn't try to shield us from it. They didn't try to erase that shit like that happened. They did it, and I thought they did it with a great amount of character and nuance, and I thought they did that really well. And the fact that Viserys came out looking kind of like a thoughtful, good man after both of them, I thought, maybe not a good man, but conflicted, burdened.
A human. He looked human.
Yeah, Paddy Considine tore it up.
He made bad choices. He was selfish. And I get it, man. I get it. He was in the moment.
You could say great actor, way to go, but he, was confined to what they wanted him to do, what George R.R. and the showrunners wanted to do. And they obviously wanted to run those scenes. They wanted to show those scenes, and they wanted to play them with a certain amount of neutrality, let the viewer make up their mind, a little bit of nuance. So I thought they did a really good job. And the fact that the actress that they cast for Lena, she could have looked 12. She could have looked 14. They took somebody that looked like a fucking 8-year-old for that goddamn scene. I mean, she looked like a little...
Yeah, why?
I think they wanted to show how kind of fucked up it was back then.
That's so weird.
Viserys agreed. Viserys was like, wow, this is just wrong. The weird thing is like 2 years later, she gets her period and it's just fucking game on. She's a woman and, start popping out babies. That's how it was. He was revolted by the fact that she was like only 2 years away from being acceptable. I think it's cool of the show to jump on issues like that instead of trying to like sweep them under the rug and try to hide them. So I think they're doing a really good job about that. Because, people have been talking about both the C-section as well as the whole.
You're right. A lot of people are all talking about they're triggered that there was no warning about the C-section in the first episode. It's like, come on.
People aren't triggered. Internet assholes with too much time on their hands are triggered.
The guy getting his head caved in with an axe, that's okay. The orgy, that's okay. But, a C-section?
People weren't triggered. They just thought they should be triggered and thus acted as if they were triggered. Nobody's actually offended by this shit.
They actually got a lot of blowback that there was no warning ahead of time about it.
Good. Fuck them.
Oh, no. I've been triggered.
Another thing this show has been doing so far, especially the second episode, much more than the first, has shown the vital importance of a king needing to propagate his line, get married, not be an unmarried widower with like a girl child and nothing else. It actually has ramifications on the stability of a realm. If there's a king out there with just one male heir, let's say male hypothetically, and that's all there is, and the king's getting up there in years and there's just a male heir, the realm's a little bit unsteady. Shit could happen because, as we've seen over the years, even with the Targaryen realm, if you have an unlikely or a unsecure succession, that's a problem because most knights, most lords, most nobles back then actually held to their word. I mean, that was all about their reputation. Their word meant something. So when they made an oath to a king, that actually had like a lot of weight. So if an 8-year-old child is the heir, people would fight for the 8-year-old child. Usually there's going to be like a regent or something, obviously.
It'd be nice if they made that all a little more clear.
That's what I said, man. Subtext. It's not going to be like Fast and Furious. Sorry.
But they could put in a little bit
I
of
got him.
thing to like stress the importance.
I
of
got
that.
him.
You got him.
The mic, it's been dropped on me. It hurts.
That just happened.
I don't really acknowledge the getting, but okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't in your position. In order to maintain your partially shattered psyche, you have to disavow what just happened. And that'll do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for going on this journey with us. Let me know how you liked it in the comments section. And also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel as we bring you more thoughtful and intriguing content in the future.